Hi, welcome to my video. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you're doing well. Um, just to start off with, I'm not some mental health guru. I'm not some psychiatrist who's hoping to sort of give you all the tips and trades and make sure that you know everything that's going on. I'm just somebody who's been through their own mental health journey, who's still continuing their mental health journey, who's come out the other side sometimes, and who's continued to keep on going. Um, what I want to do in these videos is just give you a bit of a sense of the journey that I've been through and the elements that I've tried to do to help myself. Things that talk about things that worked, things that didn't work, things that might help you, things that helped me, and then continue to just have a conversation. It's going to be pretty one-sided, obviously, since I'll be doing all of the talking, but at least have a conversation around men's mental health and the journey that we are constantly on. I think it's fabulous at the moment the awareness that's put into this area. Um, I think even when I first realized that I had a mental health problem, there was still a lot of stigma around that. It wasn't sort of talked about. It wasn't sort of confronted, especially not for men. There was a lot of things that were said, but it certainly wasn't anything that was openly talked about. But these days, it is more accepted that men struggle, that men have difficulties, and that we always got stuff to go through. So this is not around anything that is. Uh, I'm not no different from anybody else. A lot of times when people talk about this, they sort of say, I'm nobody special. I'm just a normal average person, and I think that's sort of probably phrasing it the wrong way. I think everybody is unique. Everybody's special. Everybody's got something to give, and that's how we should think about ourselves, and that's how we should sort of make sure that we are sort of thinking about ourselves as somebody special, and that we are worth um, any effort that people put into us, and we should accept that. I won't go back all the way to when my mental health started, and I won't go back into my background because I think a lot of times when you look at your own background, it does sort of cloud the picture. Um, People can have different views on who should have mental health illnesses and also what people have around them, and then sometimes they struggle. I think if anybody looked at me from the outside, they'd probably think I've got everything that I needed, everything that I wanted, and why would I have any sort of mental health problems? But I think the truth of it is that a lot of those things don't really matter. Um, what happens to you, and really what you've got to do is sort of understand that, accept that, and go through. From my point of view, recently I had probably a big stretch of time when I lost probably three male companions in my life that meant a lot to me. Um, One, my closest, both proximity in terms of geography and also probably in terms of day to day, best friend moved away, um, and that was tough. It was somebody I sort of counted on quite a lot. They had their own issues and they were moving away, and I think the move for them was really good, but it was tough for me. Then within the space of a month of that, I lost my father. I lost him to cancer, and that was a really traumatic time because I'd seen him deteriorate over time for probably a year, and I could sort of see that it was a real struggle for him, and it was a mental struggle for me as well. And then a couple of months after that, my son moved away from home to start his university. So in the space of probably 3 to 4 months, I lost three very important male figures in my life. In all ways, they were role models to me, and they really made me question myself and how I felt about things. And that started quite a big downward spiral for me and it's only something that I've sort of uh, brought out now, brought up, come through now, I should say. It was very difficult, and it was something that took me a while to adjust to. I think at the time I had all of these self-doubts and all of these thoughts of, why is everybody leaving me? Why is everybody sort of abandoning me? And it wasn't anything like that. People were moving, certainly not for my father, but people were moving on to their own lives and doing their things. For my mate, he needed to get away from the work situation that he was in, and he needed to spend time with his kids. And thankfully, the move that he made was fantastic for him. And that was an amazing decision by him to do that, because that was quite an amazing thing for him to do. Obviously, my son needed to start his own life, but all of those things happening all at one time was very, very difficult for me at that time to work through. I think what we do in those sort of things as men, there's a couple of things that we sort of do. Is one, we sort of withdraw into ourselves, and I certainly did that. We also sort of thought, what's wrong with me? Why is everybody leaving me? I certainly did that as well, even though all the reasons were valid, and my father certainly didn't want to leave me. There was nothing that he wanted to do there. And then also, we shut down a little bit then. We've been hurt, and we don't know how sometimes to deal with it, and that's fine. Not everybody is always equipped at a particular point in time to deal with all those things. One of those things at a time can be hard enough, let alone all of those things happening at one time. And a lot of times when you look around your own life, there are multiple things that are happening. And it's not that we should be fantastic at everything or anything like that, but there are just lots and lots of things that are going on, and sometimes we have to step back and realize that those are things that are going on. That was certainly the step that I had to take, to realize that all of these things had happened in a short space of time. And one of those would have been tough in its own right, losing a mate, losing my father, losing my son, or my son moving on. But all three of them together just compounded all those same sort of feelings. And that's something sometimes that we need to sort of think about when we're looking at our own lives. Everybody can sort of say, work is really hard at this point in time. But what else is going on? I know when I speak to people, I'm sometimes amazed at the things that people have got going on in their lives. And you looking from an outside position are sometimes the only ones that can actually make a judgment call on how difficult that situation might be. The person themselves will never be like that. They'll never make any sort of judgment call on that. They will just sort of see, I should be struggling through, I should be able to do this. But that's not actually the case. And that was certainly the case for me. I needed somebody else to really point this out to me, that how can you can't just brush this under the carpet. You've had three major figures in your life, people that you rely on, people that you think about, really sort of leave you. And that is, in some cases, that is traumatic. And you need to sort of be able to process that and deal with that. It's not being anything other than having to understand those sort of things. Any one of those would have been difficult, but all of them. So for me, that is one message that I sort of feel like people need to sort of think about, is have a real look at what's going on in your life when you sort of feel like you're struggling. Actually have a look at the compounding things that are going on in your life, not just individually. I'm having a tough time at work. I'm struggling with my son, daughter, wife, other significant relationship, whatever that might be. It may be that all of those things added up might be other things that are going on in your life, parents, injury, illness, whatever it happens to be, even simple things, all of those add up and they just keep on compounding. And that's maybe sometimes more what's going on in your life than just one little thing. So I think the biggest message that I'd like to get through in this first video is really, when you are struggling, sort of think about what's actually going on in your life, and don't just give yourself don't just sort of dismiss anything. Everything has some sort of impact on your mental health. And sometimes we need to work through those things before we can sort of move on to the next thing. And a lot of us, with the life that we have these days, it's very busy, and we need to make sure that we are conscious of all the things that are pressing upon us, and that will have a huge impact on us and how we're coping. So look after yourselves, make sure you're doing well, and love to hear from you. All right.